there's one word you can use to describe fans, and well, albeit West Ham fans as well, I would say it's reactionary. I think all fans are very, very reactionary when it comes to football. Um, a lot of the time it's whatever happened last week was last week. Whatever's happened this week is this week. Last week so and so was the best player of all time. This week he's terrible, or drop him, get him out. So I think football fans can be very, very reactionary, and none so more than West Ham fans, in my opinion. And an example of that is that people are calling for Neff Aguerd to be dropped. Now, whenever I look at these calls, I got to think to myself, are we being reactionary? Are we looking at his performance, or are we just looking at the little niggles in his game that are, resulting in errors to goals or resulting in bad results? I remember last year, Jarrod Bowen had a very bad string of games, and then he came back really strong last season and come into electric form this season, so sometimes you do need to look at it and think, do you need to drop this player? Listen, Aguerd's not been in great form. I'm not going to deny that. Literally coming off the back of the Liverpool game, and I think he was at fault for at least 2 goals. He shares responsibility with Zuma on the second goal, but you cannot, as a defender, allow a big guy like Darwin Núñez to get in between the 2 centre halves. You just can't allow it. You can't allow that to happen. Someone has to be on his shoulder. Someone has to be in front of him. Someone has to be man marking him. You cannot allow him to peel away like that and go literally just in between the 2 defenders. He literally went in between Zuma and Aguerd, walked through, and then, it's a good finish and it's a good ball in. But, if someone's on his shoulder or in front of him, his shot gets blocked or he gets blocked off and he's not able to get there. And Aguerd and Zuma are more than capable of doing that. And whether it's a miscommunication or whose fault it really is, I'm not sure. But you have to say that Aguerd plays some responsibility in that goal. And of course, he gave away the penalty. We're playing really well at the start of the game. We could have been 1 or 2 goals up. We're playing well. And that goal just whacks the stuffing out of us. You 1-0 down at Anfield. And now instead of thinking, cool, we can get a goal and really nick this, and sort of, you think to yourself, oh Christ, now we've got to get ourselves back in the game and claw our way back in. Because you know what Liverpool are like. If they want to be bastards, they can be bastards. If they want to hold a lead, they can hold a lead, and they're very good at it. And obviously on the counter as well, they're very dangerous. So allowing Liverpool to go 1 up is just not something we can allow ourselves to do. And obviously we allowed it because, again, just threw in a very rash challenge. I know, Salah went the other way and stuff, but just stay on your feet, just don't be so rash. Try and shepherd him away, and to be fair, he's always going to cut in on his left side. He's going to do that. So why is it such a surprise to you that when he cuts in on his left, why is that such a surprise to you? He's going to cut on his left. He's got 1 foot, and trust me, it's one hell of a foot, but he's only got 1 of them. So how Aguerd has allowed that to happen? Again, it just comes down to your game management. You're thinking, why are you not thinking to yourself, I know that Mohamed Salah is going to cut in on his left here, so I need to position my body and position my leg in order to do that. Not just, oh, fuck, he's gone left, and then just stick your leg out. I mean, what's all that about? And then also for the second goal, like I said, if you're keeping an eye on the game and concentrating, you can see to yourself, oh, Zuma's lost his man, or oh, is he mine? Or is it, either communicate or just take responsibility and say, I could see Núñez in this big, big gap. Let me get in front of him, or let me go back and drop. So that for me is just incredibly poor. And of course, last week against Man City, he allowed the ball to just drop in the area. I mean, you cannot do that as a defender. You have to be on that ball. You have to be following that ball. You can't mistime your jump. You absolutely have to just get that ball away. It's schoolboy stuff. You can't be doing that. And of course, the red card as well, which, I'm pretty sure it was 2 yellow cards against Chelsea. I mean, again, that just doesn't help his case either. So he's had a very bad string of results and a lot of errors leading to goals. We aren't just talking about like bad decisions. We aren't just talking about, playing poorly. We're talking about instances and scenarios where he directly led to goals. In the last 2 games, he's at fault for at least 3 goals. He shares responsibility with Zuma with the second goal, but he's still at fault for that goal. So 2 games, 3 errors leading to goals. That's a lot. And, we're against Chelsea and, we've got a goal up. You can't allow yourself in a yellow card, especially in the middle of the park like that, to get a red card. You simply cannot allow yourself to do that because we're 1 goal up. It's not like a last-ditch clearance. It's just, I'm thinking to myself, is this guy an intelligent footballer? Because we know he's got the skill. He's a brilliant ball-playing defender. He crunches into challenges. He's good at reading the game. But is he an intelligent footballer? Does he think things like, oh, Mohamed Salah's left-footed. Let me shepherd him onto my left. Does he think things like, I'm on a yellow card here. If I just stay on my feet, that's fine by me. You know, unless I've got to stop a goal scoring opportunity, I'm not going to come off my feet whatsoever. Does he think about stuff like that? And then I look over at who we've got as a replacement. Ogbonna for me is too old. You know, I love Ogbonna, absolutely certain to the club, but I think he proved at the Europa League game that he's just off it at the moment. Unfortunately, he's normally a player when he's called upon, he delivers. But unfortunately for me, no, he didn't deliver at the Europa League game. He was at fault for a goal, and it could have gone really wrong for us. Tilo Kehrer, I think, is a really good player, probably more suited to fullback, so I wouldn't put him there. And then, of course, you've got Konstantinos Mavropanos, who was absolutely brilliant in Europa League, an absolute brick wall. And I'm thinking to myself, could he come in and do a job instead? You know, should we drop Aguerd for Mavropanos? And is it too reactionary? You know, he's had 3 games where he's been poor. You know, do you drop a striker if he's not scored in 3 games? Maybe. I mean, it really, really depends on who you've got to replace him, I suppose. But for me, I'm just thinking to myself, I know what Aguerd's capable of. And I think Aguerd's a better defender than Mavropanos. Whether that's because I haven't seen enough of him, who knows? But ideally, I'd have all 3 of them. But obviously, we can only fit so many players into a team. But then I also think to myself, whether you deserve to be dropped or not, sometimes it just kicks you into gear. You know, sometimes if you're having a bit of a run, bad games, getting dropped makes you not feel invincible. You know, getting dropped makes you feel to yourself, maybe I need to kick myself up a bit here. Maybe I need to have that extra gear. And if we're not going to replace people in the squad who aren't playing well with players that you've bought in and players that you've signed, then there's kind of no point having them there. You know, if a player is not playing well, then the understudy, which is essentially Mavropanos, who A, has played well, and B, is a new sign, so he's uncharted waters. We don't know what he's going to produce on the pitch. You know, you've got to take that hit and try and play him, because otherwise, why have you got a squad? There's no point having a squad. Otherwise, you would say, well, you know, I don't really need Mavropanos unless Aguerd gets injured. I'll just play him every game. So for me, I hate being reactionary, and it's so difficult not to be, you know, because you watch that game, you see again, you just think, you know, just why have you done that? And you just want him off the pitch, and you just don't want him to play again, because, or at least for another couple of weeks, because you just don't want to live through that again. And then you think, in his whole West Ham career, he's been ridiculously consistent. He's been a very good defender for Morocco. He's coming to this season. Yeah, he's had a bit of a rough patch, but you know, apart from those instances, I don't think he's played bad across those games. You know, I'm not looking at him the whole game thinking you're a detriment. He's made good tackles. He's been good on the ball. Yeah, it's just those little scenarios where he's been at fault for the goal. So when he's really, really tested, he doesn't always come up trumps. So that for me is a bit of a worry. And I think the final verdict on whether we should drop him or not, I would actually play him against Lincoln, try and get his confidence up. If, again, we just see he's not quite there, I don't see any reason why we can't play Mavropanos. He's there to be played. He did well in Europe. He gives you a new dimension as well, because he can burst forward in these ridiculous runs, ridiculous shots. So for me, I actually agree. I don't want to see Aguerd out the squad. I'm not banishing him to Mordor or, you know, the Shire or anything. I don't want him to, like, you know, go on a monk retreat and try and, you know, find himself and study football. But I do think that maybe dropping him would be a good shout. And to be fair, having a player like Mavropanos, who is so dominant in the air and so good on the ball, I don't think that's a bad replacement for him. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Aguerd should be dropped? If so, who for? And I'll see you on the next one.